What's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome in to Shout, a Buffalo Bills football podcast. We are live here on Tuesday, July 30th. Day 6 of Buffalo Bills training camp is in the books, and we're here to break it all down with you. Ryan Talbot, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Matt. Pretty eventful day at St. John Fisher University, so plenty to get into.
A lot happening here today, man. Like people getting injured, some big performances from the day. Over on the text line, I've sent out a lot of videos this morning, a couple of initial observations. Those observations will continue to flow after this show here today. But we're just fitting it all in where we can, Ryan, because that's what we do this time of year.
That's right. It's a hectic time, like you said, injuries and, plenty that we can talk about there. But I want to get into the headline, Matt, a little.
Yeah, we got to start with Von Miller. We'll get to Bishop here in a moment. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel as well. But this is, to me, the most noteworthy, big storyline hitting at this point of training camp, 6 days in. We entered training camp. We talked about the big things, right? Like this wide receiver crew, the safety competition, Von Miller. Can he somehow return to the form that he had back in 2022, Ryan? And man, I'm telling you, it was impossible not to see the juice, the speed, the burst off the end. I mean, if I'm going through my notes, I got to play here. Von Miller flying. Going through my notes. Von beats Spencer Brown again around the edge. Allen still completes a pass to Mac Hollins. Going through my notes. Miller sack beat Spencer Brown. That was the battle of the day, Spencer Brown and Von Miller. Von Miller flying out here. Another note. When you see a guy's name in the notebook 4 or 5 times like that, he's really standing out in terms of consistency. And that to me is the big thing. This is more than just a splash play, which was the sack, which I want to explain to you guys in a minute. It was more about the collective performance from him today. And there was no relenting. There was no needing to come off the field for a blow. There was a period where he was going play after play after play against Spencer Brown, and it was just rinse and repeat. And it was the same kind of thing. The play that happened, it was him in 94, Dwayne Smoot rushing next to each other. It was a really nice stunt from Dwayne Smoot to kind of open up the free rushing lane. And Miller spun and kind of hit the middle so quickly and burst it up. It's like, whoa, that's Von Miller, man. That's the guy that everybody's been waiting to see. It was play after play after play. And don't get me wrong, like a lot of people responded to my tweet when I put this out that it was like concerning on Spencer Brown's front. I don't think that was the case, man. They were battling all day. I thought Spencer Brown also had a really good day. I think he was going against the old Von Miller. And then you hear Deion Dawkins talk about it. It's like, I don't think everybody understands. This is the old Von Miller that we're seeing. If you don't believe it, just sit there and watch once the game starts. This is a huge development for the Bills.
Yeah, massive development, because we've been sitting here talking about the fact that the Bills pass rush needs to step up this year. They lost Leonard Floyd in free agency to the San Francisco 49ers. Need to make up for those sacks. Von Miller obviously struggled last season, probably was not worth having him on the field for most of the season. By the end of the year, you saw some flashes here and there, but for the most part, really struggled 1 year ago. Spring comes, the knee brace is off, Matt. That's when you start seeing a little bit more from him, looking more like the Von Miller. And now here at training camp today on day 6, pads are on. That's another encouraging sign. This wasn't just non-padded Von Miller getting around the edge. Pads on. Von Miller looks like his old self, being able to use that pass rush arsenal. And when he is healthy, I don't know of many players in this league that have a greater arsenal than Von Miller. He can use speed. He can use bend. He can do a little bit of everything. He has moves upon moves. So to see him come in today and have the type of performance that he did, it's encouraging for the Bills pass rush, which will obviously help on the back end of this defense. And it's encouraging as well just for Von Miller, who, the Bills paid a lot of money to kind of be that missing piece. And if he can even be any kind of factor whatsoever this year, it's a big win for Buffalo.
Yeah, my expectations for Miller after watching him today, they inched up a little bit, right? Like, and that's pretty significant, Ryan, because remember we were doing that show a couple weeks ago, and I said that my expectations were still him being a 10 sack guy potentially. Like now I'm starting to think like if he could stay healthy, maybe you're talking about the guy that was on track, I think, at the injury for somewhere around 12 or 13 that first season. I think that you might potentially get that guy again. And when you come back from a significant injury like he had back in 2012, you're a next level athlete, right? Like you have the ability to, play at the level that Vaughn did late in Denver and then in LA and then in Buffalo for that first season. Like you are the kind of athletic freak that people marvel at. So I'm not surprised that part of it is happening. I just wonder sometimes when you get all that guaranteed money, like where is your level of motivation to keep coming back to the practice field every day when it hurts, when you got to push through the injury, when you're not having the results? Like last year's 14 weeks there had to do a number on Von Miller's psyche. And for him to put it all into this offseason, get back to the player that he wants to be, all while taking a pay cut. I mean, this is trending towards a really remarkable story in 2024 for the Bills and Von Miller.
When it comes to the great players, the all-time greats, they never want their careers to end on a bad note. And Von Miller could have packed it all up after last season and said, I just wasn't the Von Miller of old. It was apparent. Gone away with 2 Super Bowls, multiple accolades, been just put on the fast track to the Hall of Fame. But that's not how he wanted to end things. And the Bills could have made a very tough decision and ate a lot of dead cap on his deal. But Von Miller was willing to go to the table and initiate talks and say, I'm willing to take this pay cut. I'm willing to come back because I want to be that guy that you paid all that money for. I want to be a factor. I still, he believes in Josh Allen. He's said that a lot. And to fill money here in the chat, yes, I believe in Von Miller as much as I believe in Joe Hendry. So absolutely. All in on Von Miller bouncing back after 1 year removed from that injury. He looks more like his old self, and he looks like a guy that can get after the quarterback on a regular basis.
Thank you for locking in with us on this Tuesday afternoon, another camp practice edition of the show. Talking a little bit about Von Miller at the start. We're going to move things over to Cole Bishop here, Ryan. And it's interesting because Cole Bishop had such an opportunity placed at his doorstep here over the last 24 hours with the injury development with Mike Edwards, who was brought in, kind of felt like the odds-on favorite to be the starter next to Taylor Rapp, but had the injury issue over the spring. And when the injury bug kind of bit him again here early in camp with the hamstring, now it's like, okay, all systems go for Cole Bishop. Now, I will say, even before the injury today, I feel like Cole Bishop wasn't out there as much as DeMar Hamlin, and he wasn't. But I do feel like he was trending in a good confidence direction. Like it felt like he was making plays. I have one specific play before the injury that I'm going to talk about here in a second that was absolutely outstanding. And sorry, I'm a little disheveled because now all I'm hearing in my head is I believe in Joe Hendry, and I can't get it out of my head. Thank you so much, Phil Money. Speaking of which, little inside joke. When I first saw one of the clips of that on TikTok, I brought it up to Ryan, and he's like, his wife Joelle hates that song. So of course, the next time I saw her, I made sure to let her hear it. And then pretty sure Owen brought down the house on the ride home and sang it about 17 or 25 times. So that was great.
The whole song from start to finish. But, Cole Bishop today, Matt, like you said, seemed like an opportunity was present for him today. The Bills did make a move at safety, which we'll talk about. But Cole Bishop, tell us what you saw today at practice and the update as well that came from Josh Reed.
Yep. So arm injury, it appears to be. Josh Reed from Channel 4, my tag team partner of the 4-man tag, I should say, or the 6-man tag at Buffalo Kickoff Live, whatever the numbers are. He reporting that he saw Cole Bishop after practice in a huge arm wrap, which, I'd almost say arm is a little bit better than leg. I think that was what everybody's first worry was. We'll see what that ends up materializing as. If we get an update from Sean McDermott at the Red and Blue game, like how long is he going to miss? Is it day to day? Is it week to week? What is the injury? We'll figure all that out in the next couple of days. Bill's off tomorrow, so we may not get a huge update. But honestly, I didn't even see him come off the field. And when he was in the medical tent after walking in there, he left the field with some trainers. Then you start to kind of get sparked like, okay, what's going on here? Trying to figure this all out. The arm wrap was the arm wrap, but it's in terms of a play during practice, a big moment for him on the first team, worked in against the first team offense. Josh Allen back to pass. He sees Tyrell Shavers, who had another big day today. And I'm going to talk about him in a minute. Great pass deep down the field to the kind of the left side. I thought when the ball was in the air, looking downfield at Shavers, that is an automatic catch. Then all of a sudden comes into the frame is Cole Bishop flying a la a Micah Hyde sideline to sideline into the play, breaks up the pass, huge physical play. You wonder if that's maybe where he hurt himself, because I don't think I saw him again after that. And that's kind of a heartbreaking situation if that ends up being the case. You make a huge play like that, and now some of the momentum maybe is taken away. But we'll see. We'll try to learn over the next couple of days what the injury is, but definitely not the development that you want. The Bills go out and sign Kareem Jackson, 36-year-old Kareem Jackson today because of the injury to Mike Edwards. They might have to be in the safety market again here just to have enough guys to be able to practice on Thursday.
Yeah, so Cole Bishop, obviously the Bills aren't going to overreact. They're going to wait and see what this news is, but this is tough because, like you said, Mike Edwards is already week to week with a hamstring injury, and now you have Cole Bishop, and there is a competition for that safety job opposite Taylor Rapp, and if this is going to keep Cole Bishop out for any extended time, it really hampers this competition. I mean, DeMar Hamlin is still obviously the one that would be out there in the mixing all those reps. Kareem Jackson is not someone that, like you said, at 36 years old, that I consider to be in that race for a starting job opposite Taylor Rapp. And, I like Kareem Jackson. He's been in this league since 2010, a lot of experience, but he also has a reputation of making some overly physical plays that have led to him being fined, that have led to a few suspensions, where in today's game, you just can't play that way. So I get the purpose of signing him with Mike Edwards being week to week, but the Bills might be in a pinch here in terms of what the injury is with Cole Bishop and what they have to do. And I know there's hundreds of Bills fans, probably thousands, have been clamoring all summer about Justin Simmons. We'll take that, we'll look at the safety market when we learn more about Cole Bishop. But right now, all of a sudden, this safety competition isn't much of a competition at all because of injuries. And, in a way, we saw that happen at times with the linebacker competition last year. It all worked out in the end with Terrell Bernard winning that job. So just kind of wait and see. And like Matt said, no practice tomorrow, so we probably won't have any indication until Thursday morning.
I saw some conversation about Micah Hyde, and I see Jim talking about it in the comments here. And I don't know, some people are like, oh man, they signed Kareem Jackson. Does that mean the door's closed on Micah Hyde? And I don't think that's the case. And honestly, I don't think Micah Hyde is in play for this part of the season. I think he's probably enjoying his time off, keeping himself in football shape. He knows the defense. He knows, if there's anybody that knows Bobby Babich as well as anybody in football, it's Micah Hyde. So I think it would be pretty easy to get him up to speed depending on the spot. What do you think about a potential Justin Simmons signing? If they get real bad news about Cole Bishop, and you hate to, if you're a Bills fan, you're knocking on wood, you're not putting anything out there. But I'm saying in case of that, does that change how you view Simmons? Are you willing to pay a little bit more? How do you view it?
So I would be willing to give him a contract with plenty of incentives that are attainable based on the fact that if you think that this is going to be something that keeps Cole Bishop out for, a good chunk of the season. And I would bring him in, one, because he is by far the best option out of the market. You know what you're going to get in a player like Justin Simmons. I know he's on the other side of 30, but he is still playing at an extremely high level. Two, that's arguably the defensive back room is your biggest, question marks on this team, the depth at cornerback, the safety overall. And if you can shore up that one area and do that by bringing a player of his caliber, absolutely do it. And then also, by the way, I think that Cole Bishop could learn a lot from a player like that. And again, this is a big if, knock on the wood. We don't know. This could be a very minor injury. This could be nothing to panic about. But if it is something, what a guy to learn from, learn the ropes from, see the communication aspect of it. Because I'm with you on Micah Hyde. I thought Micah Hyde was someone that you would not see at training camp whatsoever. I didn't even necessarily think he would be a right before week 1 type of signing. To me, he's someone that you would sign late in the season, final 4 or 5 weeks of the year. If an injury pops up, let him go on that playoff run because, like you said, he'll be staying in football shape. He wouldn't take long to get up to speed in terms of what was going on here in Buffalo. I don't think he's in play right now if you needed someone. And Justin Simmons, by far, is the biggest name available, most talented guy. He has said that he wants to play with a contender, Matt, and he's willing to wait for an opportunity to arise. It might not be a matter of having to break the bank for him either, because he's been sitting out there for a while, and he says he wants to be on a contender. This would be that opportunity.
So a couple more things in this show. I want to talk about Tyrell Shavers. I want to talk about who I think is the biggest riser on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to talk about that as well. But I want to give a shout out to the insider text line, because I haven't put out all my observations from today, and I don't think we're going to get to all of them on the show. So if you like, we'll probably talk about some of them on Thursday. But if you want them before everybody else, text 716-528-6727. And I didn't put them all out in the Text Insider yet, because I want to give people that are watching live right now a chance to start their 2-week free trial, get in, get all of the observations first. I'm literally going to empty this notebook. I took the most notes I've taken in the first 4 or 6 days of camp. I have a linebacker that really flashed today. I have updates on the second and third team offensive line. Where are guys playing? Where are they lining up? All that's going to be, I have a guy that's moving all over the place that I'm going to also send out in the insider text line. So get over there to that. We'll talk more about that in a second. I also have a punter update that we'll get to at the end of today's show. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Insider text line has been booming. Multiple new users. Just had one that said, I don't know if this is a two-way communication or not, and sent a question. And I wrote right back, this is a two-way communication. Answered the question. So not only are you getting our text updates, but if you have a question for us, we get back to you. I know it's pretty, I'm sure it's getting full once again, but last night I cleared that thing out just like you've done many a times, Matt. And it's great interacting with all the Bills fans, answering their questions, letting them know, what's on their mind and giving them the answers to what they want to know.
So 716-528-6727, or go to joinsubtext.com/shoutbuffalobills, put in your phone number and take it from there. 2-week free trial, $3.99 a month. After that, the best deal in Bills sports media, I would have to say. I think. I'm just throwing it out there. The Shout text line is brought to you by Carrie C. Byer, attorney with the law offices of Francis M. Litro, located at 237 Main Street in Buffalo, New York. If you or someone you know is seriously injured, give him a call, 716-852-1234, or check out litrolaw.com. All right, let's get to Tyrell Shavers, who during the one-on-one session, wide receiver versus corner, but defensive back, he had the best rep for me, because he was up against Christian Benford, who is as tough a cover as anybody when you're out there. And he won the rep, made the catch, got both feet down, got in bounds. And I'm just sitting there like, Tyrell Shavers, man, second year UDFA, going up against who I think down in and down out is the toughest assignment for wide receivers to win in that big spot. It's like, you almost feel like the Bills are kind of pushing him into that a little bit. And then you go to later in practice, Josh Allen, they're running full offense down the field, trying to score a touchdown. And Allen delivers an absolute strike on the right side of the field to Tyrell Shavers. He makes the big catch. Damar Hamlin, who was in at safety, finishes with a big thudding hit. He hangs on to it. Another big day for Tyrell Shavers. And this is a dude that's just, the ascension is crazy. Like it's almost like it's picking up steam every single day. And shout out to Chris Spencer, one of our YouTube subscribers in the house. Aloha to you, buddy.
Yeah, and real quick too, before I start talking about Shavers, shout out as well for the $2.99 super sticker that was sent to us early in the show from Success Mindset. Thank you very much for that as well. Tyrell Shavers, Matt, we've been talking about him so much that I reached out to someone close to him. And he said that Tyrell Shavers' mindset this whole summer was go in, put your head down, get to work on what you need to. And it's why he didn't leave Buffalo. It's why he focused on adding some muscle to his frame and some weight to his frame and working on whatever he could to become a better special teams player, working on his route running, his footwork. And it's one of those great stories where you start to see it all pay off for a player. I don't know if either of us saw him getting first team reps in the first week of training camp with the guys that they brought in, the guys that they have on their roster, but he's come in and he's looked the part. When he hasn't been targeted, he's still running solid, crisp routes. He's getting himself open for opportunities. If it's a running play, you see him being an engaging blocker. He's someone that wants to be a complete player in this league. And as a UDFA, that's what you need to do in most of these cases to get those opportunities. Show the coaches, show the GMs that you're serious about making an impact on this team. It's what he did over the summer. And listen, there's a lot of guys that put in a lot of work over the summer, whether they stay with their respective team cities or not. Sometimes it doesn't pay off. Sometimes they just never get that opportunity. For Tyrell Shavers, he's getting the opportunity. He's making the most of it. And he's going to be, all of a sudden, someone that's going to be really hard to keep off of this 53-man roster.
Moving right along here, Ryan, this is going to be a little bit of an abbreviated episode. We'll probably go for another 10 minutes or so. Thank you so much for the super sticker. That's awesome. Chris Spencer says over on YouTube, Shavers giving off the CeeDee Lamb vibes. Man, Chris, you're putting it all on Shavers there with that comment. I don't know if I'd go that far.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, what's next? Like the Jerry Rice vibe? I don't know. CeeDee Lamb's as good as they get in the slot in this league. I think the Bills would be thrilled if Shavers could just be a regular contributor when called upon at receiver, but it'd be every time out there on special teams and kind of keep growing that role as it goes. But he's having one of the best summers, if not the best summer of the players here at Bills training camp.
All right, let's go to the defensive side of the ball, and who I think is the fastest rising up the stock report, if you will, of the Bills defense, and that is Kingsley Jonathan. He's had himself a great last couple of days. You've started to see him kind of flash a little bit. And don't forget, this is a guy that has built a lot of equity in this organization with the way that, as a former UDFA, he's fought his way onto the 53-man roster, and he's fought his way into some playing opportunities. Reminds me of Jamarcus Ingram in a way, who, by the way, Deion Dawkins was asked about the guy that he thinks he's been most impressed with, and he went on and on about Jamarcus Ingram, and he's like, don't tell him that he's in a fight for a backup spot or a roster spot. He's fighting for a starting spot. Like, that's how he's approaching it. And it's like, that's high praise from Deion Dawkins, from a guy that doesn't even play over there. I think he's been watching him. I think a lot of people are super impressed with him. So, there that is. Shout out to our good buddy, Brian Auman, who is becoming a YouTube member of the Shout Squad. We appreciate that so much. But Kingsley Jonathan, a sack during team drills today. I believe it was a third team sack working against let me read my notes as I'm reading it. Let me ask you this about Kingsley. What do you think he has to do to make this roster? Is it just about outplaying Javon Solomon, or what are your thoughts on the Bills keeping 5 edge rushers in general? Do you think they consider it with a non-Solomon player? Like, where are you at with all that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first of all, I guess before I talk about Jonathan and Solomon, I have to kind of acknowledge that I feel like Dwayne Smoot has put a clamp on that edge rusher 4 or DN4 position. So you have Von Miller, who's playing at a high level.
I think he's DE3 right now.
Well, he probably is. But I'm saying, like, I didn't have on the initial 53. I thought, he's another guy that was coming back from an injury, didn't look right. I wasn't sure. He's answered a lot of my doubts already. So, you have Von Miller, Rousseau, Epinesa, Smoot. And now it's, okay, if they do carry 5, it might just be Jonathan versus Javon Solomon. Solomon also had, I believe, a would-be sack today against Shane Buechele, and led to a little scuffle where he touched Buechele and led to Spencer Brown coming out and a little shoving there. So these guys are starting to really ramp things up or ratchet things up. As you would say, because I saw someone else say, when you say ratchet in the text line, I know it's Matt and not Ryan. So these guys are really starting to go for it. And realistically, the Bills can only keep so many of these edge rushers. It might come down to who do they think is more likely to clear waivers? But if Kingsley Jonathan continues his ascension these next few practices, he could almost leave no doubt. Like, you can't let this guy try to clear waivers, even though you just drafted a Javon Solomon. You want him to make this team. You don't want to lose a player like that. The Bills need to take the best players at the end of the day. Kingsley Jonathan is still a very young player in his own right, has not been in the league that long. This is not the case of keeping an aging veteran over a rookie. So the Bills just need to kind of let this thing play out. But very promising from Kingsley Jonathan is someone that we've said was in a, not do or die, but in a really big situation in terms of making this roster and sticking around in Buffalo.
So the first play for Jonathan was a sack. He combined with Cameron Klein, who, by the way, if it wasn't Kingsley, who I had in the fastest rising position, I think Klein would make an argument for it. He's been, almost equally as good. A couple of people keep asking about AJ Epinesa. Listen, he hasn't been bad. He's just not finishing at the same rate. And, he's kind of bouncing between the first and second team, and it hasn't been as consistent, but he's flashing as well. Like, he's making some plays. But those are the plays that you expect. I'm not going to sit here and spend a lot of time talking about AJ Epinesa flashing on the second team in training camp. Like, that's got to be the expectation at this point.
At this
and
point,
it's more going to be about the games, right?
Right. 100%. I agree with that completely. Real quick on Cameron Klein, I know we're limiting this. He has versatility too, man. He can play inside and outside, and that's something else the Bills are going to value at final roster. So I should add him into the mix as well with Jonathan and Solomon as well.
And then, so 59, Kingsley Jonathan, he combines with Cameron Klein for a sack of Shane Buechele. There was a guy flashing open pretty quickly, but the rush was so good, so quickly on him. Buechele just didn't know what to do with it. He couldn't get rid of it. And then the last period, when I said the first team was going the length of the field trying to score, then they gave the second team a chance. They got 2 plays in. Kingsley Jonathan on a 4th down sacks it, ends it, puts a exclamation point on practice in a huge way. Kingsley Jonathan's got juice. If we see him pop up on the first team here, on a Von Miller vet rest day or a Greg Rousseau vet rest day, it's not going to surprise me over the next couple of weeks.
No, and I guess I'm going to pick your brain on this. Is there a better time to make a play than the last play of those 11 on 11s? That's going to be in your coach's minds for the rest of the day. And with a day off coming up, I mean, that's something that's going to stick with them. And that's good for him, because we've talked about how big of a season this was from him. He's been here, practice squad, gotten some opportunities, wasn't getting a lot of snaps, and maybe there was a reason for that. This is the year that he needs to flash and make that ascension to stick on this roster. And, like you said, biggest riser over the last few days. That's a great sign for
him. My wife is texting me right now.
Uh-oh.
From the vet. And it's my son's birthday tomorrow. And I have said no to a cat for, what are we at? How many years have I been with my wife now? Of a little over 15, 17 almost. And she's sending me pictures, and then she sent me a picture of my daughter in front of the cats making this, and so I just broke down and said, fine.
Yes!
Ryan, what's happening, Ryan?
Yes!
What is happening?
Yes,
I'm too tired. I don't know if I'm too tired. I don't know what the heck is going on.
Well, first of all, let me tell you this. I was never a cat person. Never had a cat.
Now she's asking for 2. Ryan, what's happening?
Now you got to say no. One. You pick one. Never had a cat my entire life. My wife and my kids broke me down a few years ago on it as well. We've had Midnight for a few years now, and every single night she comes up and sleeps right next to me, curls up. She comes down with me in the morning. I agree with T. Dobbs. Sorry, Sandra, not say no to the cat. Cats are great. Cats are so
Todd
simple.
Says, what were you thinking? Man up.
No.
It's my kids, man.
100 times easier than dogs.
My son does really want a cat.
Still
He's
love
been
dogs.
dying for a cat.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If the cat scratches me, dude, I've seen some of these cat scratch videos.
Yeah.
On social media, on Reels and stuff. Dude.
Trying to think what elbow I have mine on. You probably can't see it now.
You have a scar from a cat scratch?
Yeah, it wasn't his fault.
Okay.
He was falling off the bed and he was gripping. And he grabbed me accidentally. It was an accident. I know Matt Collins would disagree. Can the text line vote on the cat names? Brian, maybe we should make a poll for our insiders and let them decide, or maybe name the cat. Ooh.
Yeah, Mac Hollins, dude. This is the camp of Mac Hollins. Maybe that's a sign. He says he doesn't trust cats. I don't know.
That's
Anyway, I'm sick to my stomach about this. Anyway, Balin Spector had a sack today. Dude, I thought Balin Spector had a really nice practice today across the board. Like he was competing. I got a bunch more on the linebackers. I'm going to send that all out to the insiders. Let's get to Ray Davis, who I thought had the run of practice and maybe the run of training camp. And I say that a little bit tongue in cheek because Darrington Evans had that 65-yarder the other day that was sweet, right? But this one was like a absolute stud run inside the tackles, making a couple guys miss. And when you're just like playing thud up and a guy misses on a thud up play, like to me, that really stands out. I mean, Ray Davis got the ball in the backfield. He ended up running it for about 17 yards, making a couple guys miss along the way. It was a really solid run and kind of envisions what he can be as that 1-2 punch. With Ty Johnson nursing the hamstring injury, he was in a full sleeve today. I think it's all systems go for Ray Davis as long as he can kind of stay healthy here over the next couple of weeks. I've been really impressed with him the last couple of days.
Stay healthy, protect the football. Those are the two things. The Bills talked about it pre-practice. The turnovers can be a concern. As long as he protects that football and stays healthy, he might have the inside track now to that number 2 running back job. Still very high on Ty Johnson. Still trust him to be a factor when he is healthy and comes back. But opportunity awaits for Ray Davis. As for Balin Spector, Matt, I don't think either of us are surprised by the performance. It's health. Health is the key word with Balin Spector. Every time he's had an opportunity, he's had something happen injury-wise, whether it's minor, whether it's something more major. He can play. The guy plays like his hair is on fire. He can go sideline to sideline. He's performed well when called upon. He just needs to stay healthy. It's just one of those things where sometimes there are guys in this league, every professional sports league, they have the talent. The health just doesn't work out for them. If Balin Spector can stay healthy, he can certainly make a push for a roster spot.
Last thing before we get out of here, what would have been a major highlight reel play, and Dalton Kincaid saved the day. Third down, they were doing a lot of blitz today. Like that was the pretty big part of it, practice in 11-on-11. And Allen went back and immediately tried to force one to Dalton Kincaid on the boundary, like deep on the boundary. And Rasul Douglas, that's the last guy you want to test in that department. Stop reading your text. And Rasul Douglas jumped the route and was this close to a pick six when Dalton Kincaid got his arm there and ripped it out. But man, Christian Benford, Kyer Elam, Jamarcus Ingram, Rasul Douglas. I mean, the Bills at cornerback, I'm not nearly as concerned as I was going in or how we've talked. And I never really, my concern level was never super high because of what I think of Elam and Ingram. But man, I think that they're in a really good spot with their cornerbacks right now. And if they have to add a veteran at some point, I think they can. But I definitely don't think they're in any rush to.
No, this has been a unit that stayed healthy and playing really well in practice. I mean, Kyer Elam was almost getting an interception per practice, and Jamarcus Ingram has stepped up his game significantly. Guys are stepping up, and that was my biggest question mark about that unit in terms of who can be trusted. The Bills have developed guys very well over the years at the cornerback position. It seems like Ingram is that next in line, been in the system for a few years. Now he's ready to be a contributor, a depth piece. Kyer Elam has all the talent in the world. There's a reason he was a first-round pick and likely would have been a first, second-round pick easily in that draft had the Bills gone with him or not. It's just been about the system. It's been about being too physical. It's been about the ascension of Christian Benford. There's been a lot of reasons why he has been able to get on the field, but you see it in training camp, how talented he is and the plays that he's making. So, kudos to these guys. I was actually laughing T-Dobbs now saying Ray Davis is Barry Sanders-esque. We're getting the CeeDee Lamb for Shaver.
Okay, that was the CeeDee Lamb comment too, right?
I mean, I appreciate T-Dobbs putting this stuff in the universe, trying to draw those comparisons or make it work. But that'd be something else.
All right, Ryan Talbot, we are going to wrap this thing up. Final word, August 4th, right? August 4th, that's the date.
4th,
Sunday. We'll be at Dorado, Park Avenue in Rochester after training camp practice on Sunday, which is a little bit later. We're heading right to Dorado, setting up. Live episode of Shout. Wing Nuts is coming. It is going to be the Shout party of the summer. We cannot wait. Well, one of the Shout parties of the summer, because there's another one coming in August too. We'll get to that later. For Ryan Talbot, I am Matt Parrino. Become an insider. All the info that you need is in the description on YouTube and all the audio platforms. We will see you next time. More to come on the Insider text line all day today. Take care, everybody.